Hello, English readers, and welcome to a new live read along of White Teeth. This month we are reading this graded reader adaptation of White Teeth by Zadie Smith. I'm Lydie and I'm an English teacher in France. I'm also the founder of Lydie's Book Club, in which I host live readings of adaptations of classics or contemporary novels like White Teeth of English literature. And I tend to prioritize books that are written by women. Once a week, I meet the members of the book club via Zoom to discuss the chapters read over the week. We also talk about books in general and learning English. And this month, I will host 9 live reading sessions on Instagram. This is a little update on my social media. I had posted I had said and 10 live readings, but sometimes in my schedule things shift and change, so there should be 9 live reading sessions. This week I was meant to do live reading tomorrow, but I can't, so this is the reason why today I'm doing 2 live reading sessions. I'm going to read 2 chapters, and that I could not anticipate that. So I try as much as I can when I have already stuff planned to have the schedule. I try to stick to the schedule, but unforeseen events can happen. But it's mainly for people who want to join me live. So if you're watching this on replay, which is probably the case, then this is not a big issue for you. So it's only if you want to join the live sessions on Instagram. And then you have those videos that are accessible on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, and also on Spotify, on my podcast, Read in English. So if you prefer to use, to listen to the audio and not being distracted by the video, then I would recommend to use the Spotify podcast, because I know that I'm a consumer of podcasts, and while I drive, I tend to be distracted by the video when the content is not on Spotify or on any stream, audio streaming. So that's the reason why I really like to have my content also on Spotify, because it's also very easy to go back to 10-20 seconds before, to catch up on to just refresh your mind on the discussion. So I find Spotify easier to use, is more user friendly, as we would say, than YouTube if you are listening and driving at the same time. So that's why I really like Spotify. But also Apple. My podcast is not on Apple, so I can't advise you to recommend Apple Podcasts, but maybe at some point it will be on Apple as well. Apple Podcast. Oh, not Apple, sorry. iTunes, or what was yeah, it's Apple Podcast. Yeah, it's Apple Podcast, I think. Anyway, so in addition to these 9 live reading sessions, I'm hosting 9 9, I'm sorry. It's the end of the day today. I'm a bit tired. So I will host 3 live workshops on White Teeth. And this live workshop will be hosted on Zoom on 3 Saturdays at 9 a.m. Central European Time, so Paris time. And to be able to have access to the workshop for free, you have to become a member of the book club. So make sure you subscribe now. You have the link in the description of this video, and you can find all the dates as well of these live workshops on my website by clicking on the link. And I can already say that there is one this Saturday in which we will discuss chapters 1 to 5. So you're more than welcome to join us. Also, quick announcement, you can now purchase the 3-part live workshop on Jane Eyre on my website store. It's a live workshop series that I've done last month on the graded reader adaptation of Jane Eyre. This is level 4. Basically, it's for A2 plus English learners. So it's it can be a great way to start reading the novel or to get to know this classics of English literature. And once you purchase it, you'll be able to have access to it whenever you want with your login. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. The link is also in the description of this video. And today we are going to read chapter 4 and 5 together. And if you'd like to know more about Zadie Smith and her novel White Teeth, then I invite you to listen to the podcast episode 21, an introduction to Zadie Smith and White Teeth. That is available on YouTube and on Spotify as well. Okay, so let's do a quick recap on the first chapters. No, sorry, the chapters 2 and 3 that we've read yesterday. Was it yesterday? No. Yes. Yes, the chapters that we read yesterday. I'm getting lost this week. It's been a busy week, and it's the end of the day, as I said before. So yes, yesterday on Wednesday we read chapter 2 and 3. So we got to know more about Clara's background and what kind of family and social upbringing she's been raised in. And her mother was a Jehovah's Witness, and she met Ryan Tops, who was living in the same neighborhood as Clara, and he also went to the same school as her. So they met, and then they started dating and spending a lot of time together. And eventually Clara broke up with Ryan because an interesting shift happened, is that Ryan got really close. I mean, not close, but really enjoyed spending time with Clara's mother, Hortense, and she, in a way, converted him into the cult of the Witnesses of Jehovah. And Clara, the more Ryan got into the Jehovah's Witness belief, the more Clara took her distance from this community, and she decided that they were going in different directions, and then she realized that they were going in different directions, and then she decided to leave him. And at the same time, she met Archie Jones at this party, New Year's party, if you remember. And she found in Archie Jones an escape route for her from her family, the weight of the religion, and the restrictions as well of the restricted life that she had with the community of the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the omnipresence of her, not omnipresence, but the very controlling mother that she had. So when she met Archie, it was this white English man. Clara is Jamaican. So what she was, her parents, she has Jamaican background. So when she met Archie as a white English man, middle-aged man, well, she was 19 at the time, she find in him a way as well for a better life. By marrying him, she aspired to more than she had now so far. Hi, Kitty. Welcome to the live. I'm good, thank you. So yeah, that's the chapter with Clara and Ryan meeting and then separating. And when she decided to get married with Archie, she in the end was expelled from the house. It was not accepted by our family that she would marry a white Englishman. The age gap was not such a problem as much as the fact that it was white. So especially for her mother. So she expelled her from the house, and she asked her to not come back. Well, she did not ask, but she really kicked her out of the house, basically. So that was chapter 2, and chapter 3 was more about Clara and Archie's beginning of life together. So we are in 1975, in which the year where they married. they married quite soon. It was, I think, 6 weeks, so a couple weeks after they met. So very quickly after they met, and they moved in Willesden Green. So it's an area in North London, and Clara comes from Lambeth, which is an area that is in a village, because London is made of different villages. And she is from the south of London, and she wanted to move away from this place and from this area, and they found a house in Willesden Green. She aspired to travel in a past. At the beginning, we read that she expected him to make her travel to Morocco or Belgium or Italy, but the furthest he could take her, was Willesden Green. So there is a lot of sarcasm and humor in this novel, and this is a very humorous passage here in this chapter about the expectations of Clara with her marriage with Archie, and the reality. And and we ended the chapter 3 with the character Samad Iqbal, who is a very good friend of Archie. They met in a war at the end of the Second World War, and they have a very close relationship. And Archie and Samad have a very close relationship, and Clara also starts to be angry, or to be in a way angry at Archie. Angry at Archie for leaving her alone a lot of the time to go and have a drink with Samad. So it's something that we start seeing. It's a feeling that we see with Clara in relation to her domestic life with Archie, and it doesn't say much, but we will, I guess, know more as we read and see how this issue evolves with these two. And we get to know more about Samad and the fact that he is also married to a younger woman. We don't have the age exactly, but he is married to Alsana, and although she is young, we learn that she doesn't let herself being controlled by her husband. And when they argue, she is the one that might have the last word, or at least she doesn't let herself being controlled by Iqbal. So she's a very It seems like Asana is a very opinionated person, although she's younger than him. Okay, right. So let's get started with chapter 4. That day, Asana and Samad argued about money again. So Samad and Asana, the second couple, that I told you about. They had recently moved into their new house in Willesden Green, and it was nice, but they had spent all their money on it, and now they could not afford any food. This made Asana very angry. After punching Samad in the stomach and throwing the sewing machine at his head, she missed. Asana hurried out of the house and walked past the library up a long road she had never walked along before. So as you can see, Asana can be quite aggressive and violent as well. We must survive, little Iqbal, she said, and patted her stomach. We must survive. So here we understand that she is pregnant. Little Iqbal. Iqbal, oh yeah, little Iqbal, so the last name, her last name, but yeah, like patted like that, her stomach. So she's pregnant. Halfway up the road, she saw a large white van parked outside the house with furniture in it that was much nicer than hers and Samad's. She stopped to look at it, and then she recognized the tall black woman who was resting against the garden fence and wearing very little clothing, just jeans and tiny pink t-shirt. Mrs. Iqbal, Clara shouted at her and waved. Mrs. Jones, replied Alsana, and tried not to look at Clara's t-shirt. Now, isn't that strange? Okay, sorry. So Clara talking. Now, isn't that strange, Archie? Clara said to her husband. What? What? Replied Archie, who was in the hallway holding a box of books. We were just talking about you, Mrs. Iqbal. You're coming to dinner tonight, yes? Black people are often friendly, thought Alsana, smiling at Clara. Yes, Sama said, replied Alsana, although Samad had not. But you're pregnant? Said Clara, surprised, looking at Alsana's stomachs under her sari. Sari is the dress that Asian women wear. Alsana was quiet for a moment, and then she patted her stomach. Don't our husbands tell each other anything? But as soon as she said it, the women knew the opposite was possible too, that their husband told each other everything. They just chose to tell their wives nothing. Archie was at work when he heard the news. Clara was 2.5 months pregnant. You're not, love, he shouted. I am, and the doctor said it will be half black and half white. It might even have blue eyes. Can you imagine that? Said Clara. Archie could not imagine that. How amazing that would be. He ran out onto Euston Road and 20 minutes later came back to Morgan Hero with a huge box of Indian sweets and started offering them to people around the office. Maureen, love, he said to one of the secretaries, have a sweet. I'm going to be a father. Oh, are you? That's wonderful, love, Maureen replied. She touched one of the sweets with her finger. Indian, are they? The sweet, probably. Yes, replied Archie. Hot and sweet, just like you. Maureen laughed, but did not take one of the sweets. She had always liked Archie, but only a little, because he spent a lot of time with Indian and black people and did not even seem to notice that he did this. And now he had married one of them and had not said anything about her color before he brought her to the company dinner last month. She had turned up as black as anything, shocking everyone. Just then the telephone rang. Maureen smiled and picked it up. Yes, Mr. Hero is right here. He just found out that he's going to be a daddy. Oh, yes. All right. I'll tell him. Then she put down the phone and turned to Archie. Mr. Hero wants to see you, she said. Have you been a naughty boy or something? I wish, replied Archie and walked towards the lift. The door said, Calvin Hero, Company Director, Morgan Hero, Direct Mail. Archie knocked on it gently, and Calvin Hero opened it for him. Archie, said Calvin, with a smile that showed very white teeth, thanks to a very expensive dentist. So you can see how the theme of teeth and white teeth comes again and again in the novel, with different meaning at each time, different symbolism of the teeth. Here we can see that those white teeth are shows wealth. Yeah. Archie knocked on it gently, and Calvin Hero opened it for him. Archie, said Calvin with a smile that showed very white teeth, thanks to a very expensive dentist. Hello, Mr. Hero, said Archie, as Calvin Hero returned to his desk and picked up a pen. Please sit down, Archie. Now, this is quite difficult, and I've never thought of myself as a racist. Said Calvin. Mr. Hero, said Archie, dropping into a chair. Calvin looked at Archie's innocent face and felt uncomfortable. It looked like a baby cow waiting to be shot. Calvin decided to say it another way. You see, usually when I have to think about a situation like this, I would, talk to you because I like you, Archie, and people trust you. I'm trusting you, Archie, to understand what I'm going to say. Doesn't look good. Mr. Hero? Calvin decided to say it straight. You see the company dinner last month? It was difficult, Archie. It was awkward. And now we've got another one with our sister company in Sunderland. It won't be anything great, just curry and a beer and a bit of dance. As I say, I'm not a racist, Archie, but you see, some of the wives don't like it because she's a real beauty. Lovely, long legs. Well done on those legs, Archie. And you see, men don't like it because they don't like staring at her when they're having a company dinner with their wives, especially when she is, they don't know what to think about it at all. The is she's black, Who are we talking about, Mr. Hero? Look, Archie, said Calvin, holding out some folded papers in his hand. His face was sweating. Take this. There's £50 of lunch vouchers here. You can use them in 5,000 restaurants. Take them. I have a few meals on me. Archie touched the vouchers and smiled widely. I don't know what to say, Mr. Hero. There is a place I go to regularly. If they take these, it will be great. Thanks very much. Now, if it's okay, there are some people I'd like to phone and give them the good news about the baby. Calvin nodded, and Archie stood up. He was just reaching for the door when Calvin said, Oh, one more thing. That dinner with Sunderland team. I spoke to Maureen, and we needed to cut down on numbers. We put some names on the hat, and yours came out. Sorry to see you down, but you won't be missing much. Will you? These dinners are always a bit boring. Of course, Mr. Hero, said Archie, but he was not really listening. He was too busy thinking about O'Connell's and wondering if they took lunch vouchers. So you see how the systemic racism is constructed here by the frame, the phrase also, I'm not a racist, but we don't really like the fact that you have a Black wife. And surprisingly, you're not invited for the next company dinner. So here again, in a very diplomatic way, Mr. Hero is actually being racist, but in a more conventional way, in a more, is hiding, how to say, in very, how to say, indirectly he's he's being racist towards him, and the fact that he married a Black woman. So but Archie doesn't really see that what he's doing is discrimination for just the basic on the basis of his wife's skin color. He's not really aware here that, or the author doesn't, or at least shows a very naive character in Archie here. He doesn't pick up on this very discriminatory behavior here. Okay, let's continue. Partly because Clara became pregnant so soon after Alsana, and partly because they lived so close, the two women began to see more of each other. They met for lunch sometimes, and occasionally coffee. Sometimes Alsana's niece, Nina, came with them. They were now used to the time their husbands spent together in O'Connell's, and realized it left more time for them to go out together and have picnics. Sometimes they even went to the cinema, where Alsana covered her eyes at the nearly naked bodies, and Clara got to see how the others lived, the others who had romantic love and sex, the life that might have been hers if she had not been at the top of some stairs one day as Archie Jones waited at the bottom. Then, when their stomach became too big, they began to meet up for lunch in Kilburn Park, eating a mix of Indian and Jamaican food. They always ate a lot because there were actually 5 of them to feed. One girl for Clara and 2 boys for Alsana. So Alsana is expecting twins. I'm not complaining. Please understand, said Alsana one sunny afternoon when they were sitting with Nina, or niece of shame, as Alsana liked to call her. Nina was a few years younger than Alsana and very beautiful, but Alsana was not happy with her because she wore Western clothes and makeup. But when the nurse but when the nurse told me that there were 2, Alsana continued, 2 feeding 1 is enough. Well, said Nina, Have either of you any ideas for names? Change the conversation. Mina and Malana, if there are girls, said Ansana quickly. If boys, Majid and Milad. I like the letter A, M. It is strong. Mahatma, Muhammad, M is a letter you can trust. What about you? Clara was not sure. Naming her child seemed a huge responsibility. If it's a girl, I think I like Ari, she said. It's Batwa. It means everything is okay, good, peaceful, you know. Alcina was horrified before Clara was even finished. Okay, she said. You think that okay is a good name for a child? And Archie likes Sarah, Clara continued. Well, there is nothing wrong with Sarah, but it's not an exciting name either. Ari is cool and different. Alcina loved it. For goodness sake, what does Archie know about cool and different? If I were you, I'd choose Sarah. Sometimes you have to let these men get what they want. Anything for a little. How do you say it in English? She put her finger over her lips. Shh. Oh, yes, Auntie, yes. The quiet little Indian woman, said Nina. You don't talk to him. He talks at you. You scream and shout at each other, but you don't listen to each other. He wins because he does what he likes, when he likes. You don't even know where he is most of the time. In 1975, Auntie, it's not like Bangladesh. Men and women have to talk in the West, or it becomes a war. What rubbish! Oh, sorry. What rubbish, said Alcina, shaking her head. If my husband shouts at me, I shout back. But you think that I care what he does? You think I want to know? In a good marriage, you don't need all this talk. Talk, talk, talk. All this. I am this, and I am really like this, that you read in the papers, especially when your husband is dull and old and falling apart. You do not want to know what horrible things are under his bed. Where is my husband? Where is Clara's? They lived for 25 years before we were born. What have they seen? What blood do they have on their hands? Who knows? And not everybody wants to know. But Auntie, begged Nina. And this is what she really wanted to talk about, the thing that made her really angry. How could you have an arranged marriage? How could you live with someone you don't know? But when Nina asked this, Alcina always smiled. Because it is much easier than marrying for love, she replied calmly. Yes, I married Samad in the same day that I met him in India. Yes, I did not know him, but I liked him enough. I thought he had a nice face, a sweet voice, and a good body. Very good. Now, every time I learn something more about him, I like him less. So you see, we were best at the beginning. That's the end of chapter 4. Yeah. Tell me what you think of Alsana's views on marriage and how does she consider relationship and marriage? What do you think of her choice to marry him just because it's easy and not because she loves him? I find that a little bit sad. But I guess for some people, it's a conscious choice to marry someone not for love, but for the security, the comfort. Should we judge that? Depends on, you see, it's interesting here to see that everyone have different needs in terms of marriage and love or relationship, I mean, as a couple, you know, and to see that some can have very, very low expectation in terms of marriage, and others who have too high expectations and can't find love as well. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword. There is nothing, there is no better love than other. It's just what relationship is best for you. And maybe you can find strange that nowadays as well, some people don't marry for love, as it's more rare now. People tend to marry for love, but still some people might have the same look at the same thinking as Alsana, because this is what they need, and this is their expectation in life. They don't want more than that. They don't feel the need for more. So yeah, I let you think and reflect on this topic, but yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, let's read chapter 5. A bit sad. Yeah, it's still sad though, to see that she's not very interested in learning more about him, and realizing that the more she learns about him, about his past, the less she appreciates him, the less she wants to be around him as well. So is a dream, is it a fulfilling relationship? Is she really happy? It's a good question. Okay, chapter 5. The root canals of Archie Jones and Samad Iqbal. Samad and Archie's root canals were very deep. You had to go back to understand them properly. Back to the 1st of April, 1945. And Archie at 17 years old, clean and pink-faced. So now, flash forward, flashback, sorry, flash forwards, it's forward, it's in front. Flashback to 1945. At the end of the Second World War. Back to Samad, 2 years older, and the color of baked bread. Back to the day when they sat in an army tank wearing the same uniform and black boots. Archie had kept staring at Samad, and after a week of this, Samad could not be patient anymore. My friend, what is that you find so interesting about me? He demanded angrily. You what? Archie replied, then he shrugged. Nothing. I mean, well, what do you mean? I mean that we probably have another 2 years together in this tank, replied Samad, and I don't want you staring at me for all of it. Their captain immediately told them to be quiet. Iqbal, Jones, get on with your work. Do you see anyone else chatting? I just want Jones to stop staring at me, replied Samad, hating the way that the captain pronounced his name. Yeah, Iqbal. This is how he pronounced it. It's Iqbal, and it's written ICK hyphen BALL, like a ball. Iqbal. And it should be Iqbal. I just want Jones. Sorry. I should not be here. I am educated and trained. I should be flying planes. I should be a captain. My great-grandfather, Mangal Pandey, fired the first bullet in the Indian mutiny in 1857. He looked around to see if anyone recognized the name, but they just stared at him dully because they had heard this story many times before. If it wasn't for some stupid Indian soldier shooting a bullet through my wrist by accident, he continued, holding up his right hand, which had been shot through during this time in the Indian army, I wouldn't be here fighting a stupid war for a country that isn't mine. Their journey through Greece to Bulgaria was a long and tiring one, and they did not see any fighting. Here, Iqbal is, Samad is referring to a real character in the history, Mangal Pandey, who fought for India's independence, and they lost their fight for independence. So that's why he's so angry against the British Army, because he is fighting a war that is not that he doesn't consider as his fight. He's fighting with the British Army, but he doesn't want to. He is there because he has to. Otherwise, he's a deserter. So doesn't have any other choice. So he's very angry at the British, and against, he's a very angry man against life as well, and the unfairness of it. Their journey through Greece to Bulgaria was a long and tiring one, and they did not see any fighting. Their job was to help the British Army by making bridges and opening roads that had become damaged. Then, at about 6 p.m. on 6th of May 1945, there was a small fire inside a tank, and it came to a stop. There were in a small Bulgarian village near the border with Greece and Turkey. Right, said their captain after looking at the engine. We can't fix this, so we're going to have to radio for help and then wait until it arrives. Nothing we can do for the moment. How long will it take? Asked one of the other soldiers. A day or more, replied the captain. There is no one near us. Do we have to stay in this tank for 24 hours? Asked Samad. No, said the captain. I think you should be able to walk around a bit. You and Jones go, and when you come back, the rest of us will go. So Samad and Archie went to the village and spent 3 hours drinking wine and listening to the cafe owners telling stories about a young doctor called Marc-Pierre Perret, who had come to the village. He had worked as a scientist for the Nazis on the death program. He was hiding somewhere around the village, the cafe owner said, but he did not know where. When Archie and Samad got back to the tank, they found the captain and the other soldiers dead. But he did not know where. All 3 men had been shot in the back of the head. One of the soldiers' glasses had been stolen and the radio had been broken. This is very bad business, said Samad, picking up the radio. We have no tank and we cannot communicate with anyone. We have also lost our captain. At the same moment that Archie and Samad were staring at the dead men, Colonel Jodl sat in a small schoolhouse in France and signed a document that ended the war in Europe. But it would be a whole 2 weeks before Archie and Samad got to hear about it. So here we learn that the end of the war was signed, the ceasefire was signed. Remember, it's the 8th of May, 1945. And Archie and Samad was so isolated with no way to communicate with their army that they didn't even know that the war had ended. For 2 weeks. A few days later, still no help had arrived. The pretty relaxed village began to pull at Archie and Samad, and slowly they began to live like normal men rather than soldiers. Each evening, they ate dinner in the cafe. Soup cost them 5 cigarettes, which Archie was now wearing. Soup cost them 5 cigarettes each. Fish cost them a medal taken from their captain's uniform, which Archie was now wearing. They used the other medals to buy coffee, soap, and chocolate. After dinner, they would pretend to be looking for the killers, but would actually be looking at pretty women through windows, or sitting and smoking cigarettes next to the tank as the sky slowly turned red. They talked about their past lives as a newspaper boy, Archie, and a biology student, Samad. The villagers knew that the war had ended, but they were enjoying the men's cigarettes and medals, so they decided not to tell Archie and Samad about it. In England and Bangladesh, both families thought their sons were dead. So that's quite funny here that the villagers did not say anything and kept them in a blur, or they kept lying to them. One after to enjoy, to get money and to take advantage of them. One afternoon, while Samad and Archie were trying to fix the radio, some village children came to play around the tank. "Mr. Soldier," one of them called. "Bubble gum, please. Thank you." Archie reached into his pocket and pulled out 5 pieces of pink bubble gum. The boy took it and gave it to his friends, who all put it in their mouths. Then they stood watching the 2 men silently for a few minutes before the first boy approached them again. "Mr. Soldier," he said. "Bubble gum, please, thank you." "No more," said Archie, putting up his hand. "I've got no more." "Please," said the boy, and he held out his hand, which held 4 bites of green paper. "Dollars, Mr. Soldier." Where did you get these?" asked Samad, and he tried to take hold of the boy's hand, but the boy was too quick and pulled it back. "First bubble gum, then dollars," said the boy, but Samad moved quickly and caught the boy's shirt. "Did you kill a man for this money?" he asked. His face was red and he was breathing hard. He wanted to defend a country that was not his. Archie was amazed. Britain was his country, but it did not feel like Samad. "No, mister, from him. Him." The boy pointed to a small house on the hillside. "Did someone in the house kill our man?" asked Samad. "He's doctor," said the boy. "He is there, but sick. Can't move. Doctor sick." The 2 men stared at the house. Then Samad turned to Archie. "Come on," he said. "This must be the man they spoke about in the village, Dr. Perret. It's time to have a real war." They left the children at the tank and began moving towards the house with guns in their hands. Samad was in front. Archie walked nervously behind. "Why?" Archie kept asking. "Because we need blood on our hands," Samad replied. "We have to make things right. We have been enjoying ourselves in the village and doing nothing. Well, now we must do something. Let me ask you, why was this war fought?" "Don't talk rubbish," said Archie, "so that in the future we may be free." continued Samad. The question was always, what kind of world do you want your children to grow up in? And we have done nothing. When they entered the house, they found a young man sitting in an armchair in front of a fire. He was pale and very thin. He was not wearing a uniform, and he said nothing when they ran in with guns in their hands. Samad stopped and then moved forward. Are you Dr. Perret? He asked. The Frenchman dropped his head. Yes, I am him, he replied. Are you going to kill me, my friend? I'm not your friend. Samad stayed very still. He could kill the man, and they both knew it. Then he lifted the gun and said, Walk! The doctor came out of the house, and the two men followed him through the trees. Do you know who this man is, Jones? Samad asked, pushing the doctor forward. He's a scientist, but he has done terrible things in the war. He has chosen who will be born and who will die. He breeds people like they are chickens, but it cannot be done. Only Allah saves. I am not a religious man, but I know that is the truth. But you said that you didn't want to fight for a country that wasn't yours, replied Archie. It's England we are fighting for, you know. Sausages, football, and Sunday dinners. Those things are mine, not yours. Of course, said Samad. So you must do it, Archie. No way, replied Archie. And he stopped walking. Look, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to die, but then do it, shouted Samad. Do it and show me that you're a man, Jones. Or what will you tell your children when they ask who you are and what you are? Will you know? Will you ever know? Samad pushed Perret into Archie's arms. You, Archie shouted at the doctor. You're coming with me. Samad waited in the trees. 5 minutes later, he heard a shot. Then Archie returned. He was walking with difficulty, blood running through his thigh from where a bullet had entered. He looked very young, and his face was as bright as babies when it first enters life. This story will keep us friends for the next 40 years, said Samad. And that's the end of Sorry, there's noise outside. Sorry about that. And that's the end of chapter 6. And this is a quite sad and not sad, but quite violent end of chapter here when they take the decision to kill the man, the French man. And this event really cemented their relationship, and you can see that this is the moment where they really became friends, and they had this secret or this thing that would link them for life, or that will more than link, but would keep them close in a way because of this experience. And they would not be able to undo it because of what they've both experienced here. Yeah, so I'm quite curious to know how you are receiving this chapter and these characters, and what you think about their gesture, about how they act in this chapter. So that will be something that I'm looking forward to hearing in our live workshop. This is why I host this live workshop. It's to be able to discuss in more in depth the event or the plot and the characters here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hear what you have to say about this these chapters and the characters. So I hope you enjoyed the live reading, and make sure you subscribe to the book club membership to have access to the 3-part workshop of White Teeth for free. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the little thumb or review the podcast and let me know what you think of this episode or about the novel, whichever comments. I love reading the comments and have your view, especially if you're not able to attend the workshops or be part of the membership of the book club. And also remember that you can purchase the 3-part live workshop of Jane Eyre, the one that I did last month. You can purchase it on my website store from the link in the description. And once you purchase it, you have access to the videos whenever you want, because you will get, you have to enter a login once you purchase it, as you purchase it, I mean. So yeah, that's the end of this live reading for this week. And I will see you tomorrow for people who have joined the book club. And otherwise, I will see you on Monday for chapter 6. And in the meantime, have a beautiful end of the week. Bye. Bye-bye.